seen its full potential yet. It still probably has a lot of grip where you're really not fighting getting out of the throttle yet a whole lot. Old Atlanta being as slippery as it was, if that was a 0 on the grip scale, I think we're still up at the 9 or 10 right now. So it'll take it a little bit before we get to the 5-6 range when racing typically starts to get pretty good.
Additional questions for Kyle? Okay, we'll go to Bob.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. How do you think them allowing you to get 90 miles per hour on the apron under green if you're entering pit road, does that change much as far as strategy and everything?
I don't think it changes much on strategy. When we were here in the spring, it seemed to be about equal for, what was that, a lap and a half or something like that, where you would go down about a lap and a half. So, I think this time around might be a little bit less than that, obviously, so not by much, but it's just going to be a different rate of what you got to slow down to under green, because under yellow it's still the same 45 all the way around. So, everybody's probably looked ahead to that and planned, at least they should have, with their lights and everything else. So we'll just see what that looks like here, getting out there and going.
All right, let's go to Jordan.
Give you athletic. When you look at the schedule, there's been a lot of talk about maybe international races, whether in Europe, Middle East, wherever. Do you see that having a place in NASCAR at all in the future?
I have a really funny answer, but I'm going to leave it alone.
No, please.
Yeah, no, I do. I feel like there's definitely the potential for that, whether it's North America, South America, even a different continent. I think there's some opportunities that are out there, so it'll be interesting to see where we land with that. I think last week kind of showcased that you can do a street event, and we've also kind of proven the stadium aspect as well with the Coliseum. So I think that opens up a huge playbook.
Now, a week removed from Chicago, any additional thoughts on how that weekend went, kind of having time to process it a little bit?
Yeah, I thought it went well. I thought, considering where the team hotels we're in walking distance, that was pretty close. There was just a lot of walking, from garage area to pit road for the teams, where the haulers were parked was a little bit of a walk as well too, especially with the rain, because your notice that you get of drivers to your cars is about 4 minutes, so it's almost where you got to get into a trot to get out there on time. But that was probably the only negative, was just the weather. I thought everything else about it was really good. The practice went off pretty well. There was definitely some areas of the track where you could use tire barrier. I obviously was a tester of those that seemed to work really well, and that our cars can continue on with little damage. But just a couple spots that probably could use more, or any to begin with.
And we're coming up a year now that Kurt's been out of the car. What are your thoughts on that, and kind of what it's been like the last year, with Kurt and kind of recovering?
Yeah, I got to work with him on the sidelines last year with the, being at the Toyota camp for the last half of the year, but really haven't seen a whole bunch of him, and haven't talked to a whole bunch with him, just not working with that group anymore, So being with Team Chevy, we've kind of, I guess, redistanced a little bit, but, it was not due to what he wanted as a timeline of stepping aside and being out of the car, but the way it all went down and the way he's handled it, and the way that, he's still been a part of 2311 and working with, Tyler and Bubba over there. I think he's an instrumental part to, some of the success that they've had early on, and so we'll see what his choices are going forward on if he continues that.
All right, let's go to Ben White and then to Dustin.
Yeah, I wasn't, so I was born in 85. I think Bobby was done in 89, '88. Yeah. So I never watched him race, but obviously I've seen the highlights and stuff like that. So, you know, he was an amazing competitor. I always remember him being fast in that number 12 Miller car. So, you know, just being a historian of the sport for the little bit that I am, it's always really neat to just kind of see some of that. I know, you know, with Davey coming in and being here, those two guys racing with each other, running well with each other, working together, all that was really cool too, as a father-son duo. Hopefully one day I can do some of that with my son as well. But, you know, he was an instrumental part of the growth of the sport during that time, and stayed around a lot and kept his face in the business to, you know, just continue to elevate everything that we all were doing. They all were doing.
All right, let's go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. As you noted, just some of the different tracks that series.
Is that my truck?
Yes.
Like flipping? No, that's an Indy car. Oh, okay. I was like, hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
51's in the kitty.
Yeah, I saw that part. Okay, I just didn't know. All right, moving on.
Noting the different tracks and how things have changed with the schedule the last few years, I'm curious a couple things. One, how does that challenge you as a driver with the different skill sets required or demands? And two, when you look at your son like Brexton, as you plot a course for him to work his way up, with NASCAR's evolving schedule the last few years and what it's likely to do moving forward, does that start to change or make you think about how you want to plot his direction or what things you want to include in his development, projecting what NASCAR might be like when he's ready for that?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of change happening right now. And so with different venues and things like that, Atlanta turning into a super speedway, you've got, call it 6, I guess, super speedway races, and then you've got 7 road course races, you've got intermediates, you've got short tracks, now you have a street course, you know, so there's a lot going on with the different avenues that you can go and the training that you can do for driver development. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a proponent of getting them in as much stuff as I possibly can. You know, some people tell me that they think that's hurting his development or slowing his development down in particular cars, and I'm like, well, yeah, but he can go run against any kid in the country and run top 3 everywhere we go in any vehicle that we run in. I feel like that's a Kyle Larson type thing, where we're not just focused on quarter midgets or outlaw carts, and he only does that, and he's really good at that, but then we can't even make an A main in a quarter midget race at a national event, you know. So the one thing that we're a little bit short on right now is just the road course kart stuff that Keelan's been really high on. We haven't done as much of that, and Brexton keeps asking me about doing it and why we haven't done it. And I'm like, bro, there's only so much time in the day. You know, we're pretty slammed as it is, but you know, hopefully being able to get out to you know, Trackhouse Motorplex a little bit more, especially as the off season gets here. That's sort of the time where I always ran road course stuff, was always winter races. So I'd love to take him out there and just kind of get his feet wet more in that.
How much has this been challenging for you? I mean, you had a development and skill set, and obviously you're very talented in a lot of things, but a lot of things are getting thrown at you. How is this period challenging you in certain ways?
You know, the only thing that's been challenging to me, and I don't know how to get better at it besides just doing it more often, is the street course last week. You know, like, I came out of the gate, my first lap on the track, I was, boom, shot up to 3rd quick on the board, and then everybody started getting braver and pushing the brake limits more and getting better and better, and I started falling back. But when you go to the Clash at the Coliseum, that reminds me of going to, funny thing, Star Speedway up in Epping, New Hampshire. We're going there next week, or close to there next week. You know, it's a little tight 3/8 mile bowl ring, you know, really tight quarters, and so places like that I grew up racing late models at remind me of that. You know, but the super speedway here is a little bit different, but it's really close to Daytona. You know, and then all the rest of the stuff that we obviously do. Traditional road courses are traditional road courses. It's just about finding your way around those. So again, I think the street course stuff, not having much experience in that, or racing in the rain for that matter too, is probably my worst trait at the moment.
Okay, let's come right here in the middle.
Jeff Watkins, Toyota's Race Week. Just to kind of follow up on that Kurt question, I've been asking drivers kind of like what it's like to be in wrecks like that and kind of the toll it takes on the body. And then personally, like what's your recovery process from something like that?
From which wreck?
Just any wreck in general, just a wreck.
It depends on the wreck. I mean, last week, running into the tires at Chicago, was great. Like, it was nice. It wasn't really that bad. I was petrified going into that, that it was going to hurt a hell of a lot. But then the tire pack, you just kind of like slowly accordion into it, and it was fine. So, I think that was a good learning for us, that we can do that at a lot more places, maybe not ovals, but road courses that don't maybe have tire packs, that have some gravel runoffs that don't catch a car, that you still can achieve the fence. I don't think there's a depth of tire pack that's too thick, honestly. So I think that's kind of a learning curve that I tested out last week. So other than that, I mean, yeah, wrecking super speedway races, hitting the wall, breaking my leg and foot and stuff at Daytona was no fun. So it's all about the hit that you get. But being in decent shape, I think, allows you to come out of those a lot faster. Just talking with Scott Borchetta, who's a TA2 driver who I've been friends with for a long time. He was in a bad accident and hurt pretty bad. So he's healing a lot faster than the doctors expected, because he was like, yeah, I was working out, I was training, I was trying to keep up with these young kids to go race with, So I think it's just all about your body composition and makeup.
All right, we're going to take our final question right here at the front.
Hey, Kyle. Jeff Hood of RacingToday.com. Halfway through your first season at RCR, is there something you can tell us that you've learned about Richard as your car owner that maybe you didn't know about him in previous years?
To me, just he's involved. He's involved in a lot of different ways. He's involved at the race shop. He's there a lot, talking with upstairs people, downstairs people, into the competition meetings, talking with the pit crew coaches. He's also doing some other outside business stuff with the spring company that he's got, as well as the ECR engines and things that they've been doing. Not since I've been there, but the last couple of years, they were the Cadillac engine supplier, for the IMSA stuff for Cadillac. So, it's just really cool to see all the different stuffs that they have all up on their campus, and what all he's involved in, and how much he really pays attention to all of that. So, he's an instrumental part to why he wants to win races, and why we've won races. And I feel like we've lived up to that to this point, which has been amazing and really, really good. So it's just a matter of carrying that forward and continuing to work together. He and I, we've exchanged a lot of, text messages, phone calls, and all that stuff on areas of things that we can do. And I'm trying to push on him a little bit so he can go deliver those messages and push on it from his side, because he's always told me, he's like, just come to me, bring me anything, whatever you got, come to me.
All right, Kyle, thanks so much for coming in, and good luck
Thanks.
today and tomorrow.